Hey guys! Welcome to season 4 of For the Generation podcast.
We are your new co-hosts, Natalia Velasco
and Alexa Gomez, and we are so excited to have you guys tuning in to us today.
So without further ado, we're going to start off with some introductions.
I am Alexa Gomez. I am a first year double majoring both in Spanish and sociology, and I am from the Bay Area, and I am a tourist.
My name is Natalia Velasco. I am a first year double major in psychology and political science on the pre-law track. I am from Los Angeles, California, and I'm also a tourist.
No way.
Yes way. You knew that already. Fun fact, our birthdays are 2 days apart.
Next question. Did you ever think you would be hosting the podcast?
Okay. When I was in 8th grade and 7th grade, I was part of like the news show at my old school, and I was actually the anchor. So I've always like been involved in this kind of stuff, but I definitely did not expect to be doing it in college whatsoever. I did it at my high school senior year as well, but that's just, it like came with my position. It wasn't like its own separate thing.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely did not expect it, but it's always kind of been in the cards for me, I feel. Like it's always been like a looming thing, which is kind of weird to think about. What about you, Alexa? Did you think you would be filming a podcast?
No, definitely not. I feel like I'm a very shy person, so I don't really like talking that much. But, you know, I felt like doing this with you, like we already talk a lot. So I'm like, you know, podcast would be fun, and we get to talk about first gen stuff.
Yeah, crazy.
And we like get to add our like own little aspect, or we can do whatever we want with this.
Yeah.
And so it's like fun. Like when I saw Lexi send out the jobs, I was like, wait, that actually looks kind of cool. Like,
yeah.
So I'm very excited to see what we're going to do. Because, you know,
Yeah.
Now we're going to play a fun game. Two truths and a lie.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I'll start us off. Okay. I had a pet fish. I've never gone to the East Coast. And I've had stitches.
Oh, God. I feel like you haven't had a fish. And I don't know. Is that right?
Correct.
Oh my God. Big brain. Yeah, I don't know. That just sounded... Okay. My turn?
Yeah.
My dog is named after a Dodger player. I have been to the Bahamas twice. And for about 2 years, when I was like 5 years old, I named every fish I ever got Pearl. Like every single one of them for like 2 years straight. It's super strange.
Your lie is definitely the Bahamas.
Yeah, I've actually only been to the Bahamas one time. Which is...
How old were you?
I was in 7th grade. I really like the Bahamas. It's super pretty there.
Let's
go.
Like
the beaches are beautiful, and like the water is super clear. Highly recommend going to the Bahamas before
episode 2. Stay tuned.
Before episode 2. Maybe we'll go to the Bahamas. So LMU's hosting this like prom/formal dance type thing. What do you think about that? Do we have a date? No, we don't have a date. They haven't officially announced it. It was on the Loyola, I believe. I don't know how to.
Loyola?
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce that. It's super awkward. But yeah, what do you think about that?
I think that's really cool. I didn't go to prom.
Really?
Yeah. I hate dancing.
I really like dancing, but
no way.
I'm a dancer.
Isn't that what did you do in high school?
Yeah, I was on the song team, which is the dance team. I was in ASB, and I was also in a couple clubs. I was an ambassador for my school. I was the secretary of... No, I was actually the treasurer, of the, like... It was called Care for Survivors Club. It was, like, the domestic violence, like, awareness, and, like, we would donate stuff and make baskets and stuff. What did you do in high school?
What I did in high school. We actually, my sophomore and junior year, I ran the Affinity space. So yeah, we rebranded it my end of junior year. So we wanted to have these more spaces, like separate ones, like Latinx, Pacific Islander. Like we wanted to have it so they would all like meet once a month and talk about these topics or bring special guests.
So what was
Yeah.
an affinity space?
Affinity
Can you explain it?
Spaces where, well, I went to a predominantly white high school, so it was like where all the people of color would come in, and it was during lunch meetings, so it was always like nice to just like see everyone in a room together. We would have snacks or just talk about important topics. I was also a TA my junior year or summer going into senior year.
Okay.
And then this past summer, so I helped out in math and English. Last year it was all over Zoom, so I would be teaching some sixth graders math over Zoom, and I had to share my screen. It was kind of fun though, because I got to use my Apple Pencil and then share my screen, so it was really fun. And then last year I worked more with the English, so I was reading the books and helping them understand what was going on. And I also was a EJME ambassador, which was helping out those students who are on financial aid. We would lead retreats, just like reflecting and stuff. So that was really fun to just be able to connect with people that I like knew. Like I was there once, so I just knew it was what I wanted to do, just help out people, because I knew how it was hard, like transitioning from middle school and then just going into a predominantly white school.
Wow, that's really cool. What does it mean to be first gen for you?
Well, first gen is different for everyone, first of all. Like for you are the oldest and I am the youngest, so it's very different. But I think being first gen just means like inspiring those all around you and like letting people know that you can do it. You can go to college. You can do whatever major you want.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think like how you said, I am the oldest of two other sisters, and I feel like it's kind of like paving that path for them and setting the example, as well as forging my own path, because I have a lot of goals and ambitions that are academically related. And so I feel like you said, everyone's first gen experience is different, but I feel like mine is really focused on like forging that path, not only for myself, but also for my family.
Nice.
Yeah. Another thing we wanted to talk about today was what we plan on doing with this podcast. I feel like a big goal that we both have is expanding, not just like, oh, by the way, we go to LMU. I don't know if we mentioned that. But I guess like just expanding from our little private school onto the bigger scope and getting more people involved. And I feel like this is a bigger conversation that should be had in the community, and I feel like that's one of our goals. What do you think, Alexa?
Yeah, I think it's also like it would be very interesting just to like see different programs, first generation programs in different colleges, whether it be here in the LA area or even across the US or even maybe other countries.
You never know. I feel like the first gen experience is definitely different wherever you go. So I guess kind of like understanding what the experience means for different people, because like we said, everyone has a different experience being a first generation student. Like every experience is so unique, and I feel like if we can, how do I explain this? Like I guess see different perspectives, we can better understand like the different hardships and struggles that people go through being first gen, because my struggles are not going to be the same as yours or like the next person. And I feel like that varies also where you go and the support system that you have.
Yeah, and I mean, we're also barely freshmen, so we still have a lot to learn, but we can learn with everyone along, or that's why we'll have some special guests who can help us out too.
Yeah. So I also wanted to throw in that we are part of the First to Go program at our college. How do you think that's impacted your experience so far? I know we're barely in our second semester, but I feel like it's...
Well, I think the First to Go here at LMU has really helped me. And I think, like, just having those people there, knowing, like, you at least relate at one point, like, it just feels more comforting, especially being at LMU at a predominantly white school. So just, like, knowing, like, you can relate to anyone.
My favorite First to Go class, I think, so far, well, we've only had two, so I can't really... I really enjoyed Juan Maibush's class. We meditated every single day, and we had assignments to do free writes every day. And we had to collect all of that data and kind of do research on our own thoughts. And I found that to be really interesting, because I know like the experiences I go through, but I haven't looked at it from that perspective. And I feel like it really, it sounds stupid when I say it, but it was like an out of body experience reading back certain things. And I I don't know, it just gave me a different perspective on how I think and the experiences I've gone through and how they've impacted how I look at myself. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's really.
I think I agree with you. It was like an English class about ourselves. That's
Yeah,
I don't know if that makes sense,
no,
but like
that's 100% what it was.
like the free writes, as you said, like I noticed a bunch, like just rereading them, and I'm like, whoa, like just notice so much about yourself.
Yeah. And like how you think.
Yeah. And meditating too. I used to meditate all the time, like
Really?
from like high school. Like they would
Oh,
make
yeah,
us
yeah,
in the
yeah.
mornings, and I like never really did it just because I couldn't get myself to focus on it.
It's hard.
Yeah, but I think like with Juan's class, I was able to kind of
Feel the ground.
and feel more comfortable with meditating.
I agree. Yeah. There was one time where we had to sit outside
Oh, I love
for a full hour, not doing anything. You couldn't have a notebook. You couldn't have your phone. You couldn't have anything. You just had to sit with yourself. And I was like, oh, this is going to be so easy. Like, I'll just take a nap. I obviously did not do that. And I feel like it was just super interesting. Like, being comfortable with yourself is something that, like, is so important. But I feel like it's not really a thing that many people even realize they should be doing, because if you're not comfortable with yourself, I feel like it's super hard to just like live out your everyday life without feeling like the insecurities and stress of having to rely on other people around you. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, for me, I remember I was like watching people walk by, and I was just wondering, I was like, where are they coming from? Like I was just thinking about other people. So I kind of took a different aspect, but it was like when I'm normally walking from class to class, I'm always looking down on my phone or even just at the floor, like avoiding eye contact.
Yeah.
But just like sitting there and like, what are these people doing today?
You gotta connect with the world, guys.
Yes. How about you, Natalia? How has being in First to Go impacted your LMU experience?
I guess the main thing that I would say is I was super nervous about meeting new people at LMU, just because I feel like it's super hard to get out of your bubble, especially in college, because it's not like in high school where you have a set schedule and you have the same people in all your classes. Like, everyone is doing their own thing. So I was super nervous about how I was going to meet people. But when I first got here, I got really close to a lot of people in my cohort, and now they're some of my best friends. So I think that's like the main. Yep. Shout out
Hey,
Alexa and Angel and Lay and Sabrina, who are also here. I just feel like it really helped me to find a community where I felt comfortable, because I was super nervous about that. And I think without FTG, I would have been like, obviously, college is just a vulnerable experience in itself, but I feel like I would have been in a much more vulnerable position where I had to put myself out there. Obviously, you have to put yourself out there in First to Go, like, obviously. But I feel like it helped a lot, like, kind of, like, I don't know.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just feel like it was easier to meet
I know what you're
people.
saying. And also, like, not even, like, being able to connect also with older students who have kind of, like, been there, like, guiding us,
Yeah.
telling
for
us,
sure.
oh, like, look at what's happening on campus, and, like, just advice like that. So it's not, like, just friends, but, like, also older mentors who we love.
Yeah, I feel like that definitely helped a lot, too, because I really had no idea what I was getting myself into going into college. And they kind of, like, are showing us the ropes and, like, giving us the advice that we need that we didn't know we need. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that I learned from the older people in First to Go that I would not have otherwise learned at all, maybe. I don't know. What was your scariest experience so far in college?
Well, I think, like, first thing, moving away from home, like, I am the youngest, so I've always been at, like, home, like, always with my mom.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, like, that was scary. Like, I was like, did I do the right thing, like, going to LA? Like, I mean, it's not that far. It's like 5 hours, almost 6 hours away from
That's
home.
still kind of far.
I know, but I can get on a plane, be there in like an hour or two.
Yeah.
Not two.
Well, an hour.
An hour.
Yeah. You know.
But I think that was the scariest, because I remember, like, when I was younger, I was always like, oh, I'm going to stay home and, you know, come on weekends, eat my mom's food. And now I'm over here in LA, which is, like, crazy to me. So I was like, I feel like there's a lot of doubt, too. I was like, is this the right choice? Like,
yeah.
But, you know, I think I've made the right one. I have. I'm
Yeah.
here now. You guys are listening.
That's crazy. Wow.
What about you?
I think mine's pretty similar, but I guess it's more like having to deal with hard situations on my own. Like, usually if I was at home, like, you know, I go home, I talk to my mom about it, like, she'll let me have the day off from school the next day, you know. But here I kind of had to, like, deal with a lot of scary and uncomfortable things on my own. Obviously, I'm not far from home. Like, if things got really bad, I would drive home, like, on a Wednesday, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like just having to learn to, like, navigate these really weird experiences on my own that I usually would have the help, like, right there, like, right in my living room. And I feel like it's just, like, a really big part of our growth too, like, as just
Adulting.
humans. Yeah, because I totally had to be like, okay, it's not that big of a deal. It's not the end of the world. You have to do your classes. You have to go do your homework. It's gonna be fine. Like, go talk to your friends about it. Yeah, it sucks, but, like, you can't just, like, give up all the time. I don't know. That was super hard for me because I was not expecting a lot of the situations. And so it was kind of like a lot of, not growing up, but I guess it was like grown up experiences that I was not expecting so early on in my college experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
I feel like an influencer right now.
Because we have headphones on.
Yeah, we have
and
headphones.
we're being recorded, and our audio is being recorded. That's super scary if you think about it.
Like, it's gonna be on Spotify,
Oh.
Instagram, Apple Music.
All platforms, boss. I listened to the Experiment podcast. I've only listened to a couple episodes. But it's super cool. It's like a lot of really random stuff that you wouldn't learn about, I feel. Like, it's like random stuff specifically about the US. Like, it talks about how in the Vietnam War they used, like, psychological warfare, and they would record, because there was, like, this thing that, like, if you don't bury someone in their place of birth or, like, place of origin, then their soul doesn't rest, and so, like, they, like, haunt you type thing. So they would record these super scary audios. They played it in the podcast, and they would play it outside of, like, the villages. So, like, the soldiers that died in the war, like, weren't buried in their place of origin. So, like, kind of, like, to encourage them to stop, which is super messed up, in my opinion. We're not allowed to cuss. Well, I don't know.
Bleep.
And yeah, it's a lot of super interesting stuff.
You know what podcast I listen to?
Which podcast?
For the Generation.
No way. Oh my god, now if we listen to it, we're gonna be listening to ourselves.
You guys need to listen to For the Generation. And that was all for our little introduction.
And now we're going to interview the co-founder of this very podcast, Memo. Take it away, Alexa.
Hey everyone, welcome back from our break. Today we have Guillermo Gonzalez, also known as Memo, who is a recording arts major and a film, television, media minor at Loyola Marymount University. Currently at LMU, he is a digital content creator of Ignacio Student Support Services and outgoing producer of the For the Generation podcast.
Fun fact, he actually co-founded the podcast. We are very excited to have Memo here and very grateful for all the work he has put into the For the Generation podcast. Without further ado, would you like to add anything else before we get started, Memo?
No.
So first question, how did you get into the First to Go Scholars Program?
So traditionally, for First to Go Scholars Program, you enter your freshman year. You have a summer orientation leading up to, like, your first week of school. But I didn't enter that way. I entered my spring semester of my freshman year. I would always hang out in the Commuter lounge, which is in the Academic Resource Center. And then I met Lexi, the program coordinator for First to Go. And she offered me a job as the podcast co-host. I was part of the program from then on. I would like to add that during my freshman year, that was year 2018. That's so far away.
It's 2022 now.
Oh my god.
That's crazy.
But we had, since I didn't do the First to Go orientation because I wasn't part of the program yet, I just did the normal orientation and also the commuter orientation, which we used to have. So I met the commuter students. They became, like, my first group of friends. And then I met Kevin Ordonez. Big shout out to him. And then Kevin introduced me to Christian Ortiz. We also became friends, and then Christian introduced Kevin and I into the Commuter Lounge, which is again where we met um, Lexi, and then she got us into the program. So big shout out to Christian, big shout out to Kevin, and of course we all love Lexi.
How would you say being a commuter impacted your first gen experience?
I had a very interesting relationship with being a commuter. Um, I didn't have a car. I didn't have my license. So I had to depend on my mom and dad to bring me to campus every day or like every day that I had class. So that was a pretty challenging situation to be in, especially the fact that some of my classes were at night, 7 to 10. So it was like I had to get picked up and then go back home. I wouldn't get back home until like 10:30, 11. I used to live in South Central, which is like 25, 30 minutes away from campus. And yeah, I would have to wake up early to come to campus, and then the days that I would be here late, then that would kind of
Mess with it.
mess up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, we went virtual, so I didn't have to worry about any of that. So I just stayed home. And then, like, mid pandemic, like last February, we moved over here to Westchester, pretty nearby. Can I talk about gentrification? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So the area of South Central that I'm from is pretty nearby to like Inglewood and the Forum. So I got to like witness the gentrification as it was happening. So the apartment that we lived at, we started off at like 1,600 a month, but then it went up to like 2,000.
Oh my god.
So we were like, damn, we're spending a lot of money like on rent, and we have to like drive everywhere.
Yeah.
So we found an apartment over here, and it's $2,000 a month. So it's like, why would we pay more money if we're farther away?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think for the first like couple of years at LMU, I wasn't really involved in a lot of stuff. But shout out to everyone who would give me a ride back home late at night. A lot of people would let me sleep over. So thank you, everyone. Shout out to commuter people. I know the commuters struggle.
Would you say there are any other programs at LMU that have helped you as a commuter?
No, I'm kidding.
None.
As a commuter, we used to have, no shade. We used to have waiting out traffic, which is like an event that they would host like every month, I believe. They would provide commuters with catering, food, study space, like candies, chocolates, all that stuff. We would just like wait out traffic together. That's pretty much all they had for commuters.
Why did they stop that?
Oh, because all the commuters had gone home already. They would host it like at 4-ish, and that's like right when like the traffic. I feel like I'm getting into the next question, but if you don't mind, I'll just combine my involvement with that.
So this question is about Memo's involvement on campus.
So I'm just gonna name all the involvements that I've had like through my LMU experience. Some of these I've had to let go because I just got too busy with my senior thesis. I'm just trying to keep my sanity. So of course I'm involved in First to Go. I was a scholar now, and a student worker for them. On the podcast, of course, the co-host. Quickly before I like get into it, shout out to Jasmine Collins Johnson, who was my co-host, co-founder of the podcast. Big shout out to her. We cannot forget that she was also a co-founder of this. So thank you so much. I'm also involved, of course, in Ignacio Student Support Services. I create like all their Instagram posts. So yeah, MECHA, which is Movimiento Estudiantil Chicanx de Asban. Yeah. They have a bunch of events. Oh, and actually, in high school, I attended their high school conference twice, and that's what got me interested into LMU and into my major, which is, as you guys mentioned, recording arts. Yeah, I really loved the high school conference, so without it, I probably wouldn't have come. I mean, they showed like a different side of LMU that isn't as promoted, so I felt like wow, I finally have, you know, my people. My
Yeah.
people are here. So I have that to lean back on. Similarly, I was also involved in LSU, which is Latino Student Union. And then last year, yeah, I got a little. My little is Jesus Paco Estrada. He's
Yeah.
one of the most involved people I know. Quick little shout out to Paco. He met the Pope. He
Yeah.
met the Pope,
That's
and he talked to
crazy.
him.
On Zoom, you guys. How crazy is that?
That is insane.
Another involvement is El Espejo, which is a middle school mentoring program for Lennox Middle School. By just hanging out with them, answering any questions they have about college, being that, you know, we're kind of in a space of privilege. Like, it's a privilege to go to college. So, any way that we can help out our community is like awesome, you know. Another program is Grupo Folclórico de LMU, um, which is a dance group that does like traditionally Latinx dances. Like, but I never got to perform. Kind of bummed about that. But big shout out to them because they performed at the Super Bowl.
Oh my gosh.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh.
And you didn't. You should have performed at the Super Bowl, Memo.
I'm a little rusty. I was also in Art Smart, which is a program that goes to like elementary schools, middle schools. What I did there, you can teach any type of art with them. They usually do like painting, coloring, all these different types of stuff. But she told me that I could teach them how to do podcast.
Oh wow.
So knowing what I knew about for the generation, I
Right.
tried to teach them like what I knew. It was a very like fun experience, and I got to learn more about podcasts too.
Is that still a thing on campus, ArtSmart, or no?
I believe it is. You just have to reach out to them and propose like what type of art and what you want to do.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. I'm also in law, which is Latino Alumni Association. It's more of like a scholarship than a program. They gave me a scholarship every year, and then we attend like a kind of like a conference, but more of like a gala. Cause we get all dressed up, we take pictures, we meet like industry people. We kind of try to network at those events, but I've only attended two of them, freshman year, sophomore year, and then pandemic.
I'm actually in law, and now we have like a class dedicated for it. So now we actually like get to attend these talks together, have people come. So it's changed now. It's like the first year. It's like trying. Paco's actually in it this semester.
Oh, cool. I also heard you guys have a trip to Mexico, right?
We do.
Never mind.
Oh.
Well, I don't. I think I've heard about it. How they go with Dr. Guerra to Mexico City, but we
Yeah.
haven't really talked about it yet. No, but they do go to Mexico City.
We'll have to fact check that.
Yeah.
I'm also in Tri Alpha, which is the first gen honor society. Strongly recommend all of you here to sign up for it. I'm currently the vice president. With again another shout out to Emil. He's a president of Tri Alpha. Love that for him. I'm also in Alpha Sigma Nu, which is another honor society. I actually got a scholarship last year from them.
Oh,
Big shout out
wow.
to them. Thank you so much. I needed that money. Uh, through First to Go, we had a study abroad over the summer to the Dominican Republic.
Ooh.
Um, we learned about immigration, race, and gender. We went to different locations, mainly like the university there. We also learned how to dance bachata,
Oh my gosh.
but I
really?
completely forgot.
Aw.
We visited the beach over there. It was a really nice hotel. If you guys could go or study abroad, I think they're changing the location of it, but studying abroad with First to Go is such a fun thing to do. And you can get a scholarship for that, so you don't have to like fully pay for it, which is always good. So also in the DR, I got to room with my First to Go mentor, uh, Daniel Peñuela. And then the last thing that I want to include is I got published in a journal article.
Oh wow.
Um, it was about ecology, Christianity and Buddhism. Highly recommend reading it.
Very cool. So, what's your inspiration for starting the podcast?
Of course, Lexi is the one that presented us with the opportunity. And by us, I mean JC, of course.
Right.
She told us about the existing, like, first gen voices. Based on that journal, we started the podcast to, like,
Okay.
have, like, another avenue.
Mhm.
And at the time, like, Lexi was pretty, like, into podcasts. She was like, yep, First to Go needs a podcast. And well, I mentioned I was like a recording arts major, so she was like, okay, you'd go great with JC. She's a very eloquent speaker. She has the uh, podcast host like energy. She has the vibe. So yeah, we hit it off, and then we made the podcast. We had episodes like on Black History Month. We also had an episode with Mecha. A lot of different topics that kind of shed a light on how being a first gen student isn't a monolith, and you can get involved in different things as a first gen, and you have kind of like that entry point and that perspective of being first gen, which informs in turn like your own perspective.
Do you have a favorite episode that you filmed or
Ooh,
recorded?
I'll name my top three because I really can't pick. I really love like every episode that we've done. Um, One of them is Transfer First Gen, which I believe is our third episode. We did that with Shaniqua Love. She talked about her experience as a transfer student and how that went. Fun fact, she is 30 years old. And I think that's so inspiring, you know? And then we also have Post Grad Life in the Pandemic. We had that with Daquan Bass, who was my facilitator for my LEVA class my freshman year. And then on that same episode, we also have Jordan Pace, which was also a facilitator when we met her. Then my third favorite episode has to be, ooh, I can't pick. So we have this episode called Immigration Justice. There's a part one and a part two. But I can't pick between part one and part two, so I'll just pretend
Combine
that
them.
it's yeah.
Together.
And that was with four people. The first part was with Leonardo Dominguez Ortega, who goes by Leo, and Dr. Claudia Sandoval, who's a professor in political science department that does research in like race, immigration, and um, Black Latinx relations. We kind of talked about DACA and the Dreams program. And then part two was with Lisbeth Ramales. Shout out to her. She's also a fellow First to Go student. And then on that same episode, we have Marisa Montes, who's the director and founder of the Loyola Law School's Immigration Justice Clinic. So big people, you know?
Yeah.
Love that episode. Definitely learned a lot about immigration. I just want to add one more. It's our 10-year anniversary episode where we talked to Dr. Latanya Reese Miles. Uh, she was the founder of First to Go, so we love her for that. I was actually like so nervous for that episode, even though I had like Lexi with me, but it was like still virtual. So I was just like at home waiting for like her to show up on the Zoom. I was like freaking out. I was like, because I didn't want to say anything bad to the founder of First to Go. Like that was such a big pressure, but I was worried for nothing. She was such a nice person.
Really?
She was like understanding and like very chill about it. Yeah, I mean, she's such a big part of the first gen community, like here at LMU and also across the globe. So she's like uh our our messiah.
Our Messiah.
How did the podcast impact your first gen experience?
So prior to coming to college, I'm sure we all remember college applications. That's the first time that I've seen first gen like identity placed like as a check mark. Um, I checked. I don't remember if I checked it off or not. I'm not sure if I was aware of the identity at the time. That's probably why I didn't join First to Go Scholars
Yeah.
Program. for my two last recording arts classes, I'm taking advanced audio and my senior capstone project class. Um, and this past week, we talked about podcasts
Oh, really?
and like how to edit them, what the standards are, what's the best way to approach them, like who do you need to reach out to. That would have been very helpful my freshman year. I'm kind of bummed that we didn't learn that before. But having had the experience with For the Generation, having had like the experience these past 4 years with the recording arts program, I kind of want to start my own podcast.
Really?
Yeah,
That would be super cool.
That would.
but I don't even know where to start because For the Generation, of course, is very focused on the first gen identity.
Right.
That's why we've reached out to like community members, current students, faculty and staff. They're all people who are very involved in the first gen experience. So I wouldn't know like what I would want to talk about or who I would want to have on my podcast.
Right.
So I think I'll think it over, but that's definitely a hobby that I would like to have, like a personal project in a way.
Right.
Um, in terms of like future endeavors, so you guys have asked me about what kind of careers I can have with my major.
Right. Yeah.
So within my major, there are two or three like concentrations that we have: film, television, and music. And all of the classes that I've had these past 4 years have like trained me for all three of those areas.
Right.
So within music, I've recorded 3 songs so far.
Oh, wow.
All covers from like people that I know. In terms of film, there's like two distinctions between them: is production and post production. So for production sound in film, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with like boom operators. The boom operator is the person who like holds up a pole with the microphone at the
yes.
end. Um, so I've learned how to do that. There's also the sound mixer on the set, which is the person connected to the boom operator person, and they're the ones that kind of adjust the level of the microphone. They turn it up if like they need to get more sound, turn it down if it's like too loud. They kind of like do a live mix of the sound recording. And yeah, that's like 2 jobs that you do in production. And then post production, you get to edit the sound that they recorded on the set, or you record like new sounds. Like there's this thing called ADR, which is like a recording of like an actor. Like they come in again, but they re-record like their lines. Like for whatever reason, if it's like a voiceover or just the production sound wasn't good enough. I'm most interested in production. I really like being on production sets. It is very tiring,
Yeah.
but I get to meet like a lot of people, you know?
Yeah.
And
That's
the
really
actors
cool.
are always like the nicest people that you can meet. In terms of music, I would love to be like a studio assistant. And the studio assistant is like the person who like helps out the producer or engineer. Um, I just like the vibe of like being with people, you know? Yeah.
Is that also like, can you do like the sound effects? Like I've seen, it's all over my For You page on TikTok. Like people recording sound effects, like breaking bottles and stuff. Does that also like fall into that category?
So yeah, those are sound effect artists. We were actually talking about this in my horror class. Have you guys watched The Exorcist
No.
I don't
or like
think
any
I have.
demon possession horror film?
The Conjuring?
The Conjuring. Okay, we'll
Pretty
go with
basic.
that. So like, I'm sure like the demon does like the worst sounds that you can hear. The way that they create that is like one, they record it, but they don't record a demon, of course. They record
They
like
find a demon and they record it.
they record like different animal sounds. So they'll like record a pig, a dog, humans talking, and then the sound designer is the one that like mashes all those
Oh,
sounds
wow.
together
I did not know that.
and then creates like the demon sound.
That's crazy.
Yeah, what?
Yeah. So yeah, future endeavors. Still, not sure what I want to do. As you can see, like I mentioned, like there's so much I could do with my major. that I just don't know like where to start applying or like who to reach out to. Lexi has recommended me to like start looking at jobs,
Mhm.
reading the description, and then like reaching out to people who are alumni and having like informational interviews. Are you guys familiar with what they are?
No. Would you
Okay.
like to explain?
Yeah. So for those listening, informational interviews are you reach out to alumni or people related to the field that you want. Set up a meeting. Reach out to them first. Like, um, I guess the standard is like, hey, I'm Guillermo. You say your name, and then um, I saw that you work or have worked for the company that I'm interested in. Um, would you be available for an informational interview? You meet with them, and then you ask questions about the company,
Okay.
about them, like their experience working for the company, and then like any other questions you have, but also ended with like um, other people that you can reach out to that you can mention their name as a reference.
Oh, I see.
So that way,
Okay.
like you build upon your network.
Right. Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah. So I've just been so busy with my senior thesis that I haven't had time to like reach out to anyone or even look for a job. And just for like context, my senior thesis, again, there's like two concentrations, right? There's the music and the film side.
Right.
I chose, I'm so indecisive, so I chose the hybrid mode of that concentration, which is one song, one genre, one band.
Mhm.
Got that pretty easy. And then a couple production projects and then post production. I'll be on set from Tuesday to Thursday during spring break,
Oh.
9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Oh, wow.
Damn. Would you say you were at all like scared of choosing to become a recording arts major?
Oh my
Because it's
God,
not a traditional
100%.
major.
I came to the open house for LMU. To begin with, like I'm a very indecisive person, but also like throughout high school, I've kind of never found like I'm is it jack of all trades? Is that like what
Yeah.
people call it? So I was good at everything,
Mhm.
like every subject,
Mhm.
but I wasn't like a master at any of them.
I get that.
So it was like really hard. I was looking into like uh architecture, but LMU doesn't have like, or at least it didn't have an architecture major when I was applying.
Mhm.
And then the high school that I went to, big shout out to Da Vinci Design High School. We had like also different concentrations. The one that I attended specifically was graphic design and architecture, which like
Ooh.
is why I was into architecture.
Yeah.
I kind of was interested in graphic design, but I don't think I felt confident enough to like
Make
pursue
a
that
career.
major.
Yeah.
And also like I was afraid of like I feel like there's kind of a stigma around art in general. Like you won't find a job in art. Big shout out to art majors though. I feel like I fully support them. I'm rooting for them all the time.
Yeah.
Cuz art inspires, you know?
Mhm.
Like every type of art is just like an inspiration for like everything else in the world. But yeah, then I looked at recording arts and I was like, you know, why not? I like watching movies. Why not like be involved in like the process of making them? Um, and I guess like through that, I think or I know I'm a strong believer in storytelling, be it through like film, television, music, or now even like podcast. So I think in general, like my aura or my calling is storytelling, and I guess I just have to find like
What to do with that?
yeah,
Yeah.
or like what platform I want to do storytelling through. I think tied into the first gen identity, I had a lot of imposter syndrome and survivor's guilt. So I was like, should I even be here? I think early on, finding like a community was very helpful because I felt like I belonged at LMU, but did I belong in my major was a different question. Can't pinpoint exactly when I felt like I belonged in my major. Um, but I think it does have a lot to do with working on student film sets. Um, at first, well, as time went on, I slowly like started to get familiar with the equipment, with the logistics, with all the like structural stuff around productions. And like I've mentioned, like I really like meeting people on the crew, directors, producers, the camera people, of course, the grip, gaffers, and all of that, and also the actors. Like they, if you talk to them, they'll share like a lot about like who they are, why they're interested in like whatever production is going on. Um, I feel like that is what confirmed for me that okay, you're in the right major.
Mhm.
You just have to work harder to like get acclimated to the culture. And of course like you don't have to include this if you don't want to, but LMU being a PWI kind of affected that too, like my validation of like being in the right major
Right.
because SFTV in general is a very white like college. And then specifically like in my recording arts major, in my cohort, like my year, like 2022, um, most of my classmates are white. And I feel even worse for the only girl in that like
There's
class.
one girl in your whole class?
Yeah.
Wow.
Being a woman is like, I feel like more, like, I don't know how to word it, but like, you're already like invalidated to begin
Right.
with.
Definitely.
Like especially like in the film industry, especially in the recording arts like world, like you don't hear a lot about women sound engineers, women producers. It's a very male like dominated area,
Mhm.
like everything, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
specifically like I really do think about like her and being like the only woman in the class. But also I feel like I don't want to assume that other people aren't like ethnically
Mhm.
diverse, but I do feel like I'm the only outwardly person of color in my class.
Okay.
And also to like add on to that, SFTV like in general the college is very hard to get into,
Mhm.
and even more so the recording arts major we only have like 15 people in like each
Wow.
year. But I also think that without First to Go offering me this podcast job, I wouldn't have like
Stayed.
I wouldn't have stayed. I probably would have changed my major. So yeah, I have a lot of anxiety and stress, but I just got like people in First to Go, like you guys, um, and then my friends that I've met along the way. Uh, Big shout out to everyone. You've confirmed and validated my space here at LMU and my space as a recording arts major.
Yay. Well, that's all the questions we have for you today.
Would you like to plug any of your projects or socials?
Yeah, of course. So my Instagram is super duper underscore memo. Should I put my email? I don't know.
Whatever you want.
My LMU email is ggonza57 at line.lmu.edu. So yeah, my personal email is gonzgui00 at gmail.com. That is my personal email. If you have any job offers, please reach out to me. Or if you want to talk podcasts and how to start a podcast. But yeah, thank you guys so much for having me
Thank you so
on.
much for coming to be interviewed with us. So, thank you all for tuning in to the For the Generation podcast.
Wait, before that, let me
Oh,
just
so sorry. So
um
sorry.
I want to make this official. As you guys know, I am Guillermo, but I go by Memo. I'm Guillermo Gonzalez. I am officially handing over
Oh my god.
For the Generation podcast to Alexa and Natalia, and of course our behind the scenes MVP, VIP MVP, Angel. Thank you guys so much. I fully trust you guys, and I'm so excited to see how the podcast progresses. Really proud of you guys. Thank you so much. You guys made me feel welcome. I don't think I've ever talked as much as I have today. But yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for trusting us with your project.
My
It's a big
baby.
deal.
That's a wrap.
Thank you all for tuning in to the For the Generation podcast. Remember to follow us on all of our platforms.
For the Gen on Twitter, Anchor, Instagram, and For the Generation on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube. And we will hopefully be coming up with a TikTok soon.
We will see. Stay tuned for our next episode. We're actually going to talk about our transition from high school to college. We
Ooh.
might also have a special guest. Stay tuned.
I'm coming back.
Memo part 2. Your burn.
Yay.